I get this feeling that the world as it is feels like a psychedelic experience. This is just my experience about how mushrooms help me in my life. When you decide to work with psychedelics, you're kind of creating an initiation for yourself. If you haven't been here before, my name is Amber and I am a psychedelic integrator. I support people with utilizing psilocybin as a medicine and help individuals microdose or macrodose and process that experience. I would just like to say that I am not a doctor or medical professional, so if you have any questions, please consult your doctor. Otherwise, this is just a personal experience and opinion. So when it comes to microdosing is supporting me at the moment with helping me to feel an easier flow from one thing to another. There feels as though there's less resistance in my body around doing certain things that I feel need to get done. And this is helpful because over about a week or two of feeling this flow, I start to feel like I get a lot of momentum around my projects for work, around my connection to myself and really tapping in and checking in with myself. And so when I work with microdosing, I'm often in a space of understanding that I'm working on my internal systems to support myself in the future. Meaning that if I'm trying to reprogram myself, I might think about habits or coping mechanisms that I'm working on. Right now, I am considering what it means to work with anger in a healthy way and all of the triggers that we might be experiencing with the world as volatile and wild as it might seem through social media. And then being able to process that in real time and work with myself. And this is something that I do without psilocybin, but with the psilocybin, I do feel that I have a sense of clarity over my decision-making processes. I feel less confused about what I'm doing and what I should be doing. I feel a lot more immediacy with the ideas that I have. So rather than sitting around and bouncing back and forth, should I, shouldn't I, it's a lot easier for me to check in with myself, decide, and then move, and then just decide and move. And it's not always productive decisions. Sometimes the decision is to just relax. Sometimes the decision is just to take a shower. Sometimes the decision is to journal. So the support that I do feel like I'm getting is really helpful because I'm able to, like I said, process in real time, and I'm not spending as much time wavering or feeling bad about not doing something. I'm a lot more present with myself and a lot more clear about my intentions and how I'm effectively using my time. Now, on a different level, macro journeys, ceremonial sized journeys, taking big mushrooms, I feel that they have helped me tremendously to be able to work with the world as it is. So right now, there's a lot going on politically, economically, socially. There's a lot of changes. It feels like society is changing. I was talking to my mom yesterday, and my mom has also experienced a large ceremonial size mushroom journey. So I was able to reflect with her about the world that we live in. And it feels very chaotic, and sometimes it feels very magical and synchronistic, and it's very polarizing. And it's really interesting, and I know that if you have done larger ceremonies, larger journeys, you might have experienced this feeling as well. But I get this feeling that the world as it is feels like a psychedelic experience. I feel so close to being in a psychedelic experience even without taking any mushrooms. And I think the relatable part feels like the reality is changing in a way that our perception of the world and the world that we live in is changing. Part of me feels as though I continue to work and I could stay on the path that society has set out. So there was a program. You work your 9 to 5, you go to school, you get degrees, you get certificates, you work your way up some kind of ladder, and eventually retire. So there's a regular societal program, and that's not always everybody's society. It's not everybody's program, but there is this general way of functioning that we've done our whole lives that now feels like it's changing. Concepts feel like they're changing to me. And I feel I am more prepared to handle big changes in our world because of psychedelics. I think going into a psychedelic space can really turn you upside down because it changes your perspective of reality. Within that time frame, you can go in and all of a sudden feel like you're connected to the universe in a different way, or seeing the irony in life of how we work ourselves and really see in our experience maybe different levels of freedom or different levels of the constructs that we've created for ourselves. And it really breaks down a lot of that into a place that's a lot more spirit-filled and free. So as we go through, it feels like the world is changing and those constructs are breaking down. And I notice that I feel a lot more prepared. I feel that this experience feels very familiar, meaning the world changing and things maybe changing might come from my perceptions from doing psychedelics. Regardless, as I move through the world, I do feel that this is very relatable, and I feel that I'm a lot more emotionally prepared to handle what comes our way. There's a lot more creativity, there's a lot more belief, a lot more faith, a lot more spirit that I feel connected to in a logistical way. Meaning that the tragedies that we have, my family and I and our communities have already experienced, is tough. Tragedy is hard no matter what. And they also bring me closer to my belief systems and the idea of spirit. And so it's interesting as the world is changing, and who knows what other kinds of tragedies that we're going to witness through social media or experience. I do feel a certain level of authority over myself. And this is something that mushrooms have helped me to understand in a very deep way, is my sovereignty and my authority over my body, over my spirit, over my belief systems. And I don't have to fight anybody for those things, because I intrinsically believe that they're mine, that I have a right to exist, and I also am participating in this world and our society as it is. So it can get very convoluted, but I do feel very much supported, and I'm so glad that I've had those experiences. And in fact, when I think about living my life and never having explored psychedelics, it makes me feel very sad inside for that version of myself, or the people in the world that will never get to the point of being able to explore consciousness in this way. For the 4-hour experience, you might experience something very deep, and that experience can feel more real than the 40 some odd years of existing on this planet. How crazy is that? For one experience, the hour that you had that conversation with yourself about spirit, or feeling your body in this way, for that little session, that one session, to make you feel like that is real compared to the 40 years I've been alive. I think that on its own is so mind-boggling, and really just highlights how visceral the experience can be, to where it can shake you. And it's the spiritual and mystical experiences that science is really studying, because it's those experiences that really create bigger changes in our lives, is when we have these really big spiritual experiences. So to go into a psychedelic space, you're agreeing to the mystery, whatever might happen. And it's interesting to be able to somewhat induce a spiritual experience without having to go through a tragedy or something really intense in real life that triggers it. Because how else do other people come across spiritual experiences? Of course, they can happen spontaneously at any point. But when you decide to work with psychedelics, you're kind of creating an initiation for yourself. And part of the ceremony is to clean your diet, to clean the space you're in, to create an altar, to say a prayer, to really honestly and with integrity connect to yourself and spirit, and then engage with this medicine so that the bigger experience can come in and teach you. So I don't think that there's any other real way to activate such a potential for a profound, life-changing, spiritual, mystical experience except for through psychedelics. I mean, I'm sure there is if I really think about it, but mushrooms are so safe. It feels like a birthright to be able to do this. And it feels necessary in my life that I have been able to do this. And I couldn't imagine myself without it. I think that I would lose so much context about the universe and how I see it, about spirit and connecting to it, about animals and trees and how we're all connected and it's all one. And it can sound very woo-woo, but when you're able to take that concept and ground it so that it actually helps you in your life or actually helps you heal or feel the beauty that this world has to offer, it's worth every moment. This is just my experience about how mushrooms help me in my life. They've solidified more of my power within myself and continue to help me discover what that means. It helps me to clear a lot of old drama and trauma that I didn't need to continue to stew on. I find that I'm no longer drudging up things from the past that may have been very painful and triggering and traumatizing to me originally. And through the work of utilizing not just the psilocybin, but meditation or eating healthier and therapy or antidepressants or all the myriad of ways that we try to work with ourselves, I find that psilocybin has been the most impactful medicine, aside from being in the sunshine and communing with nature. It has been the most impactful. And now when I engage with this beautiful medicine, which isn't that often, I find that I'm no longer processing a lot of the past, but I'm looking towards the future. And I think that puts me in a very beautiful place that I didn't know I would be in. To be able to be creative about how I participate in my community, what our societies could be and turn into, the potential that we have to create beautiful things is ingrained so deeply into me that I feel that that is one of the pieces that really helps me to process what's happening right now, because it's not always going to be this way. And when I say this way, I just mean that my TikTok looks apocalyptic because of how much stuff is going on and how much stuff I'm looking at. And I can still see and feel the beauty and the potential of us as people working together to create wellness and health and peace. And I know that we can do this because I feel that I can just hold on to that vision, and it doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong. It feels right to me. So this is how it has helped me in my life and continues to help me moving forward. If you like this kind of content, please let me know in the comments and I will continue to share my experiences. And subscribe for more.